Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're exploring the adventures of leadership and what it takes, what lessons that really push us, that really help us reach our potential. And today I'm really excited because as soon as I've spoken today, she seems to be popping up everywhere. So I think I'm catching her just before she flies and skyrockets off and getting her to have a chat with me. This is Becky Glover, and she is the finance director of VNC Automotive and co-founder of Elizabeth Rose Wines. A few points of interest about Becky, things that you'd need to know, is that Becky's a finance director at 29, and at the same time, she started her own business. Well, I say at the same time, at 28, you started your own business and left school at 17, worked her way up, so gaining accountancy qualifications in the thick of it as she went along. And she just delving into the world of work, a natural born entrepreneur, natural born, very determined and ambitious person. And there's some really great stories that we're going to go over, one involving how entrepreneurial Becky really was. But before we start getting into that, we're going to ask Becky what her submission is to the Leaders Library. So Becky, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. What an introduction.
Wow. I mean, it's no pressure now to live up to that.
No, none at all.
What are you going to be sending into the Leaders Library, and what did it do for you, this book?
Oh, I love the Leaders Library, by the way. This is an excellent thing. I love reading, and I think it's really, really important for leaders to delve into different kinds of books and try and keep learning as well. So my submission into the Leaders Library is a book called Surrounded by Idiots. It's written by a guy called Thomas Erickson, and pretty much it's around personality types, and the way he thinks about it and writes about it is in colours. So there's 4 different colours, and he goes through his book, talks about each colour. And really what's important about it, I think, is you can identify who you are and what colour you are, or what mixtures of colours you are, because it's, everyone's slightly different. And then you can take that information and go, okay, cool. So now I can figure out what colours these other people are that I'm working with or interacting with. And now I can understand where they're coming from, how they want me to talk to them, and just trying to understand different types of personalities, how they would like to work. Because obviously being a leader, or just being in business, in a community, in any sort of group of people, you are going to have, and you need to have, lots of different types of people, lots of different types of colours around you. But if you can't interact with those people or get the best out of those people, then it's going to be a real struggle. So I loved this book. And actually the book came after, in a previous job, they actually went through all of our personalities. We had an away day, and they sort of went through this colour type chart and information with us. So I had a slight bit of background information and knowledge on it. And then I delved into this book and just absolutely loved it, like every page, how it was written as well. He's obviously a really funny guy and makes light of it. It's not a real sort of heavy book, which some can be. And then I passed it on to my boyfriend, and he equally is like, I love this book. He then passed it on to someone else. So it's one of those books that really does the rounds as well. And now, which is really weird, but when we're talking, over dinner, he's an accountant as well. So, you can imagine our dinner conversation. We're talking and we'll actually say like, oh, they're a green or they're a blue. We refer to people in their colours. So it's really stuck with us, which, I've read loads of books and you take away little bits from each book, but this book actually has made a huge impact on me and everyone I've passed it on to. So that's why I'm going to put it into the library. I hope people order a copy, download a copy, however they want to take that information in, and then they can also benefit from that and then see people and see communications in a slightly different way, and hopefully that helps them to do whatever they need to do and get the best out of people.
So my question is, was there, like, after you read this book, was there an instance where you went, that it really helped you and you went, oh, I'm going to apply this?
Yeah, absolutely. So being an accountant, obviously most people have that vision in their head of what the the typical accountant is, and actually when you sort of put that into a color, that's definitely not the color that I am. So, and I've never thought I'm the typical accountant. So I mean, in my everyday working with other finance professionals, I definitely may not change myself, but change how I would approach situations and how I'm going to, amend how I communicate things. And then also within my industry, I obviously work within wine, but I also then work in technology. So I've kind of got these three angles of like wine, technology, and accounting and finance, where the people can be quite different. So, you go down to a vineyard, for instance, and you meet a winemaker. They're very different to being in the office and talking to a software coder or a software developer. So I feel like I'm constantly changing, how I'm communicating with people.
So do you do, like, when you're going, okay, right, I'm in front of a software coder, what happens in your brain just then?
It's quite quick now, but it definitely was something I had to practice to start with. But even how you approach someone. So if you're walking straight up to a software coder, you've got a bit of a march on, you know what you're there to do. That's not so great for them. They need you to maybe come up and, get to the point, but in a softer way, because they need facts. They need, straight to the point. As I say, they're probably not interested in telling you what they did at the weekend or what happened at your weekend or what the weather is like. So, cut out all of that and get to the point, and you'll get a much quicker back and forth, and then you can leave. Whereas actually, some other people, maybe in sales, they do want to talk about the kids' party that they went to at the weekend, or that sort of thing. They're much softer. They would like the conversation. They would like to build that relationship with you first before moving into anything businessy. So yeah, really different. And it's quite quick now for me. I don't really notice I'm doing it, but definitely at the beginning I was like, right, what color are you? I'm gonna help you out.
Just grading them. And so watching for things like what job you're in, how did you notice like what color they are?
Well, I think the first thing that you have to think about, and what the book actually really hammers home, is there's no one colour that's better than another, and every team needs all colours, but it's about how they approach things. So, as I say, do they want to chat about the weather? Do they want to get straight to it? Are they very friendly? Do they want to talk about themselves a lot, or do they want to talk about what they're doing and their work? So all of these different things, like, do they delve into the details? So if you're asking them about work, are they very data driven? Do they want to talk about, individual transactions, or are they looking at the bigger picture of things? And if you need those sort of detailed people to look at the bigger picture, you then need to be able to describe why you need them to look at the bigger picture and what that means to you and what you're going to get out of that then. So yeah, it's fascinating, and everyone is different. And I love that, because in business, all aspects of business, everyone is different. So I think if you can get to grips with the people you're working with and how they like to interact and communicate, then you can get the best out of your business. But if you're, doing business and you're very much like, this is my personality and therefore this is how you need to communicate with me, this is what we're doing, you're not going to get the best out of those people. And in a lot of businesses, especially in technology, where you're sort of having someone sitting and coding, your main costs and your main sort of drivers to that business success is people. So you need to get the best out of the individuals as well as the overall teams.
I love that. So you that is the thing. I mean, that's why I'm here as well, is that it's about getting the very best out of people. And it's hard as well, because sometimes if you're putting people into a meeting room, then some people are going to have an advantage and some people are going to have to really work at finding their own way, because, a lot of time meetings are built for the extrovert ideal, but it's so good to be aware. And I was walking my dogs this morning, and sometimes I sit there with Otter on, and just record some thoughts if I need to, like, if I have anything that's popping up into my head at the moment about either a client or work or something like that. And there's that phrase, isn't there, is speak. Some people say speak so others can listen. I was like, why don't we, we teach that a lot, don't we, in business? We teach that all the time, but maybe we should now start to focus on listening so others can speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. Yeah. And actually, like, something that people have to teach themselves is how to listen, like how to sit and just wait and to listen and to take that in and then speak. I think there's quite a lot of sort of like hustle and bustle and just shouting out there because you think, oh, I need to say something. But actually, if you can all just sit back and listen and just take a second and then throw the ideas in, actually, I think that's going to be a lot more, better quality of conversation. And I think it's for the extroverts that, at some point to actually say, I know there's other people in this room who aren't going to shout out if they have a really, good thought or just a thought. So actually, I need to create some silence in this meeting so that they then feel comfortable to put that voice in.
Now, though, we need to learn a bit more about you. So we know that you're a finance director. We know that you started early and you've worked your way up. But we also know that you've got this other business. Well, tell us about Elizabeth Rose Wines.
Yeah, so this is like a passion project between myself and my best friend. We've been great friends ever since secondary school, where, we probably weren't the best behaved together. We've got a very similar personality and we just instantly clicked. And so ever since we were in school, sitting, probably not doing as much as we should be, our minds were wandering, we were being quite entrepreneurial. We always had that sort of dream and we knew that's what we wanted to do. So fast forward quite a few years, we decided that we would go on a girls' holiday down to Cornwall. It was an amazing trip. Proper girls trip. We did yoga in the mornings, we went out for long walks, like everything that was just so relaxing and that we just needed at that point in time. And one of the things that we did was go on a tour. So it was Cornish wine tours. They pick you up in this minibus, they drive you around to all of these wonderful vineyards, and we were just hooked from the very first moment. So we had drunk English wine before and we loved it. Obviously, it wasn't massively available, but there were sort of one or two places you could get it. We would always order it. But when we went on this wine tour, we visited 3 vineyards and it was a beautifully sunny day, lovely and warm. And there were honestly, like, we were in these rows of vines and they were like bunnies jumping through the vines. There were birds tweeting, bees humming. It was like, where are we? Like, we're in Cornwall, beautiful, but it feels like we're in heaven or something. And that's what really grabbed us. And the wine was obviously incredible. These businesses are quite small, so you get to meet the owners. You see the people out there pruning the vines. It's all there, and you think of bigger brands like Whispering Angel, etc. That's on a shelf and that's what you see the end product. But English wine, Welsh wine, you see everything. You see, the people running it and they come and talk to you, they taste the wines with you. It's so inclusive and it just felt lovely. So we then went home, tried to buy some English and Welsh wine online, but actually found it quite difficult. Most places we had to buy direct from the vineyard on their website, and the websites weren't necessarily set up as e-commerce websites, and you had to buy 6 of the same type of wine, and it was quite expensive. And I just thought, I don't think I will. I clicked out. I'm done. Carried on watching TV or whatever it was I was doing, and then I thought, that's awful. Like, I love English wine and I've really clicked with it, and I really feel passionate about the people that are doing it and these small businesses, how much hard work they're putting in to make this incredible product. And even I don't want to then fulfill an order and like really push through and order that. And I just thought, gosh, and that's because it's such hard work. I thought, well, if I can't, I don't want to do it as an English wine lover. They've got no chance of, people being a bit nosy and thinking, oh yeah, that sounds fun, I'll just order a quick bottle of that. So we decided, well, you know what, if no one else is doing it, let's just do it ourselves. So then in a really short space of time, so that was in the April that we decided to do it. Then in the September, we had a website, we were up, we were running, we were trading, we had a room full of stock, literally everything. Obviously, between those 2 months, we were working so hard. We genuinely didn't appreciate what it takes to build a website and to order stock in, all of the logistics issues. Obviously, you're transporting glass, there was a lot of breakages. It was crazy. I now have such a better understanding of business, of e-commerce, just through setting up my own business. It's just, we really jumped in the deep end, but it's been amazing. Our passion and our aim is still the same, to promote these vineyards that are working so hard. They're all small, family run, creating beautiful products that we love to get out there to the consumer. So we have a website where we try and make it as easy as possible for people to buy that wine. We have a big selection, about 150 different types of wines, everything, red wine, sparkling wine, whatever you want, we've got it. And yeah, we try and make sure that we are giving our opinions and our experience of these wines, because it is still a very new industry. And we understand that a lot of people probably think, oh, English wine, is that going to be any good? So we try and give our views on things. What does it taste like? You know, that Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, this is really similar to that. So if you like that, you can buy this. So we just try and make it as easy as possible. But it's been really busy. It's been really tough, actually, in a lot of times. But we have really, really loved it. And we continue to push on even in this sort of tricky climate. And yeah, we just hope that we can continue on and keep growing and keep spreading the word about how fantastic these wines are.
But you can hear how passionate you are about that, and as it's incredible, because what a fantastic approach to also, as you say, you've learned so much about being the business owner. A lot more now we're seeing that finance people are partnering, they're going out and chatting and going on the floor. And certainly people we've spoke to here on the show in previous episodes are very much an advocate of building those relationships with everyone and taking the time, like the investment of having stronger relationships throughout the business rather than in your own little silo. But you've gone and taken it a whole other step, and you've taken it to, well, I'm going to run a bit. I'm going to start this. And through your own passion, because you can hear how connected you are to not just your own, like, to business, but also how connected you are to all of those, the vineyard owners, the families, the people behind it. And I live in almost one of the prime wine areas that's growing in England, which is in Sussex. And in fact, now I believe they've coined it. I think they've finally got it, the glass of Sussex. So as a Sussex girl, I'm very pleased about that. But, in terms of a glass of fizz, I think Kent producers, very annoyed, who knows? But sitting right here now where I am in the high street of where the village where I am, I'm surrounded. On the walk this morning, I walk past the vineyards. I have, you can't really throw a sheep really without hitting the vineyards. And and they are families. I know the owners, the people, all these and how invested they are. And it's a long term as well. But you went into accounting, obviously, clearly with this entrepreneurial vibe, and you had your best friend, and it really made me smile because it reminded me I also have that best friend. We actually, and we've had similar journeys, and we used to write notepads and plan things, and we sit there on the phone for like 4.5 hours every now and again when we can. And like we did when we were teenagers. And it's wonderful. But did you always know that this was part of your story, and this is where you were going to go? Were there any instances when you were younger that this came up?
I've always been really interested and passionate about business, and in particular, like, I'm not ashamed to say, about making money. It's just something that I've always found is really passionate for me, and is what I enjoy doing. So I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I don't know if I can pinpoint a point where that grew. I don't know that I can particularly. However, so I don't know if it's nature, nurture, that big sort of debate. But my family laugh about this all the time when I, now go out and do things. And so I was only 9 at the time. And, as most 9-year-old girls, they want the pony, they want the newest toy, they want whatever, they always want something. But for me, it was a dog. I really wanted a puppy. And my parents, probably just trying to get by of another day of wanting something else, they said, of course you can have a puppy. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And they said, oh yeah, like absolutely, you can have a puppy. You just need to buy it yourself. So casual, just a, comment that came out. They probably didn't think anything more of it. They thought, okay, well, that's not going to happen. There we go. We've sort of got past that one. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll pay for it myself. So I went and I, bought the magazine. And at the time, there was like adverts for puppies in the back of like dog magazines or whatever they were called. And so I was like, okay, great. So I need £500, which now doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you're 9, you're thinking, okay, I mean, I have no income, so this might be a challenge. So I, went back to my parents and said, okay, cool. So I need £500. What can I do? And they were like, yeah, okay. I'm sort of running with this a bit more. I said, well, we've got loads of jobs for you to do. And so what they did is they wrote this whole long list of jobs and then how much each job paid. So, it was great for them. They got, the kitchen floor washed or, that hoovering done or whatever it might have been. And then each time I would go to them and I'd say, oh, can I wash the car today? I'd like to earn £5. And they're like, yeah, sure, no worries. So it went on like that for a while, and they obviously thought I was going to get bored. But a few jobs would get done in the meantime. But I didn't get bored. I carried on. It took me 2 years. So yeah, between 9 and 11, I was doing jobs. I was, doing whatever needed to be done for £2 here, £3 there, whatever it was, to then save up for this puppy. So obviously me being a tricky child, I guess, when I started to think, do you know what, this is doable, but I don't want my parents to back out now. I've saved up some money. They've done me a list. Yeah, okay. But what if I get to the end point and I've worked really hard and then they go, oh, no, something's changed. You can't have a puppy. So I thought, right, I am going to write a contract, which my parents will need to sign. So I don't know where I, found the wording or whatever, and they still have this contract. They were like, we couldn't ever get rid of this because this was genius. So I wrote it down, I drew a picture of a dog, coloured it in. I mean, it was juvenile, but it was a contract. And then I signed it. I got my mum and dad to sign it. It was pretty legally binding, I'm sure. So they were like, oh gosh, okay. So I got to the 2 years, I saved up my money, and then, off we went to buy a puppy. And he was amazing. And I think that actually showed me as a child, and, there aren't many children that would have done that. They would have got bored and, wanted for something else in the meantime. But I think what that has always showed me, and even now, I'm like, yes, I can do it because I have that sort of resilience. I have that grit somewhere inside me to not give up. And I think that's always been important. And if I really want something, I can do it. But it has to be something you really want. So I really wanted the puppy, or I really wanted a business, or I really wanted to get to being a finance director. But whatever it might have been, I know that, and every time I do it, so every time I get to that point of, I got to my goal, it kind of reaffirms to myself that, yes, I can do it. And that helps me along my journey. But I mean, I don't know what my parents were thinking, but they never said it to me again.
I'd have been, if my son had done that, I'm almost wondering if this is what I'm in for, because it seems like, that's incredible that you thought to do all of those things and then you held them to account as well. And you didn't just say, I want this and leave it alone. You actually had that internal something or other that made you go, right, how am I going to make this happen? And not only that, you didn't try and do it just yourself. You actually involved other people. So you were also almost leading, going, right, I want this to happen. Here's my goal. what do I need to do this? And you're asking, for the price list and things like that. So it's incredible that, to have that nous really at that age. Do you take that resilience, that grit, that determination? You clearly have that with you still today and now. What does the future, do you think, hold for you as a leader?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I love business. I love finance, and I think finance is an extremely part of a business, obviously. But yeah, what I would hope for in the future is to gain further business experience, a wider business experience. As I said, setting up my own company was crazy. I mean, I got so much experience from it, like marketing. I would never have thought about how to market a product before, and during Google ads, and how does social media work, and can you promote on social media, all of that sort of stuff that you just don't get from being in finance, and even really maybe business partnering, because there's always someone better that can do it for you or can help you or whatever. But for me and my friend, neither of us were better, so we just had to muddle through and figure it out for ourselves. So I hope that there'll be more businesses in the pipeline. There'll be more. I don't know what that would be at the moment. It's not like I've got a perfect business idea, but there'll be definitely more business in the pipeline, obviously surrounded by finance and accounting. But I mean, at the end of the day, business is what I love. Making money for myself, but also bringing other people along for that ride is what I love. So I'm so excited. There's so much going on at the moment. I'm so grateful to be a part of, obviously one of which is this podcast. And I just love it. I just get so excited about doing these different things. Because when you're training in accountancy, you sort of think, oh God, is this it? I have to follow these rules of like accounting standards, and like, oh God, can I not just think for myself? And I think then moving out of finance a little bit and into business, into sort of the entrepreneurial space, gives you that breathing room to go, okay, what else can we do? And whilst that always sounds very exciting, it's also very scary because, as I said, like there is, not always other people, other experts to turn to and go, oh, so what should we do with this? You've done it before, you help me. It's you going, okay, well, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to fail. It might be a massive waste of my time, but let's do it anyway. So it's exciting, but also want to get across that it's not always easy, and you do just have to take a leap of faith sometimes and see what happens.
What lessons have been massively valuable that you've taken from running your own business? I mean, I know that you've been in the thick of it, and you've said it's been hard, and but it's also been extremely valuable, and seeing what everyone else does. What would you say the best lessons that you've learned, but as a finance leader, that you've taken away?
Something that I've actually learned really recently, which I keep telling other people now because I had never even heard other people say it really, and then I figured it out. It was like a light bulb moment for me, and now I'm like telling everyone is that you have to clap for yourself, like, which means like you have to be the one that goes, guys, I can do this, or I've done it, and look, it's brilliant, look at it, keep looking at it, no, look at it again, like it's good. Because you kind of going on your career journey, leadership journey, whatever it is, and you're going, oh, okay, well, I'll just get to this next level, and then someone will promote me to the next level, and someone will send me on a training course, or there's always someone else involved. But there doesn't need to be. Yes, it's very helpful if you've got someone that's going to mentor you and push you through things, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to look at yourself and go, okay, well, I'm going to do that training course because I think it'll be good for me, or I'm going to post this thing on LinkedIn or whatever saying that I've achieved XYZ, because no one else will. And it's quite a cold and sort of brutal thing to discover, but once you do discover it, actually it's quite liberating, because you're like, well, yeah, it's great to have the help of people and have, people pushing you up, but actually I can do that myself too. And by gaining that experience of putting myself on that training course or going to that networking meeting and talking to people and all these different and scary things. But actually you've done that now, and so you look back and you're like, oh, do you know what, that's so great that I did that. And then that gives you again that push forward to the next step. So I think that's like, I keep telling people, clap for yourself, for goodness sake. And they're like, what do you even mean clap for myself? I'm like, celebrate yourself, come on, like, you did amazing, tell yourself you did amazing, and then tell everyone else you did it too. There's no point in being really humble and sitting back. I think you have to go for it.
I'm so excited you said that. That's one of the biggest learning points. If I'm working with someone, it's like to get to that point though, because in a way, I've even started writing about this. So I'm sure I'll probably do an episode on this. There's a link towards this fear of putting yourself out there and fear of being seen as arrogant, and fear as being seen as that person who's a braggart or just not very nice, and it's because you want people to like you and you want to like yourself. But that doesn't mean you can't celebrate. That doesn't mean you can't clap for yourself. And that doesn't mean, that you shouldn't say things. And I wonder if actually you can be humble still, but say, hey, I'm really proud of myself for doing this. And it's not, maybe they could have done better. Maybe they did. It's not about them. It's about me. And that I pushed myself to my personal best. So if you're listening right now, I want you to actually think about that. How do you celebrate when you have achieved a new personal best? Because do you know that it's not just a great thing to do because it feels good, but neurologically speaking, if we're forming better habits and pushing ourselves to reach our potential, if you're building new neural pathways, if we're looking at neuroscience and neuroplasticity, which is basically creating new habits, forming better habits, you have to have those chemicals, the reward chemicals like dopamine, you can use to your advantage. You can almost get addicted to achieving. And that is what you need to do. You have to be able to celebrate it and celebrate those wins so that you're releasing those chemicals, the serotonin, the oxytocin, the dopamine, so that you can have really great, you're forging that new neural pathway. It's going, oh, we're going to want to go down that, we're going to want to go down there again and do that again. And that's where, so I as you can tell, I feel very much the fact that is such an important lesson, such a valuable lesson, that you do need to take control of your own life as well.
Something that I found as well is I didn't realize that when I started clapping for myself, others would be more willing to clap for me. So you put something out there and you go, oh, I'm so proud, I've just done this. Then other people go, oh my God, that's amazing, well done, etc., etc. And you're like, oh, thanks. So you put it out there and you're cringing, you click that post button, you're like, oh God, I hate myself just a little bit for doing that. But then other people go, amazing, well done, it's well deserved, etc. And you're just like, oh, that's so amazing. And then you think, oh yeah, of course, because if I didn't tell them, they wouldn't know. So you can sit there and think, oh, why do I never get some success or celebrated or whatever? But they don't know. So you're not going to get someone knocking on your door and going, well done, you're amazing, for no reason. I mean, that would be weird. But if you're putting yourself out there and then they say it, that's, an incredible feeling. So yeah, once you start it off, someone has to be the first one to clap in a massive round of applause, don't they? And why not just do that for yourself? Why not? Get it done.
What an amazing lesson to have learned that. And you can see how you do that in such a way that is in tune with your values. And it sounds like you've really connected to that. If I don't do that, then the payoff is that I won't be able to do all of the incredible things that you do, not only for the business that you work in for yourself, but all for the other businesses as well. And you can, just hearing you, and I hope anyone listening to this as well can really hear just that need to celebrate, not need, but that's, I don't know if you've noticed, but that sounds so connected to, I have to be at my very best and celebrate myself and pursue my ambition to be great so that I can help other people. Because at the very beginning of this, that's what you were driven by. We saw all these vineyard owners, we want to help them. You saw the business that you're working in now, you wanted to help them. And it's driven that the values that you have, the purpose that you have has then connected, like, what do I need to do for me to be best, to be at the best? Would you say that's right?
Absolutely, yeah. And you go through your journey and you don't really realise, you think, oh, well, maybe I can do best by these people, these vineyard owners, the, small businesses, by, plugging them and whatever. But actually, you need to look and go, right, okay, well, what can I do? Because actually, if you're both doing it, so, Mrs. X, Y, Z, they're doing what they can do. And then if you can do what you can do, well, that's double the effort for that one business. And then that spreads. And if someone else can do one more bit, it's like a ripple effect out, isn't it? But someone has to start it. So someone needs to just go, this is amazing. Let's look at this.
We're gonna wrap it up at that point, because I have this thing where you see people posting online. It's like, someone should do something. It's like, you are someone.
Yeah, exactly.
You are someone out there. And on that note, I'm going to say this has been a wonderful and energetic and really just brilliant podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.
Thank you. It's been amazing. And I hope everyone enjoys it.
Oh, before we go, of course, where can we connect with you? Where can we find out more? And of course, we'll put any links in the show notes.
Absolutely. So for the business, main sort of outlet is Instagram, but we're on everything: Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything. And then for myself, I'm also on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So the business, the Instagram and everything, you'll find us under Elizabeth Rose Wines. And then on LinkedIn and on Instagram for myself, it's Rebecca R. Glover. But you'll put the links in anyway, they can use those.
Go and connect with this woman. She's incredible. So thank you so much for joining us. And on that note, we'll say goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.